Welcome back to Euro Football Daily, and of course today it is transfer review. The rumour mill is hotting up with about a week left to go of the transfer window this January, and of course I'm joined by Patrick Van Straten. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. I would actually like some of these moves to happen. It's been a really boring January.
It really has. But I feel like doing a little bit of the script for this, I feel like there are a few more legitimate things going on this week. So hopefully there'll be a bit more substance rather than just rubbish going on this week, because I know last week we were just kind of discussing just very kind of
mayhem.
Yeah, just made up rumours essentially. And we begin with Edinson Cavani to Atletico Madrid. Obviously discussed Lacazette to Atletico Madrid last week because they apparently viewed him as a bit of a backup to Cavani. But now this deal seems to have kind of gained a bit more traction.
Yeah, I mean, there's about a week left of the window, and it seems like Edinson Cavani is absolutely set on getting out of PSG, despite the fact that they're on track, obviously, to win domestic title, and they've got a decent shot at the Champions League. You know, they're not favourites or anything, but now it seems like there's more than one suitor for him. It's not just Atletico Madrid, it's also Chelsea. Frank Lampard is interested in bringing him there. He thinks that his experience could help out the younger players in the squad. And of course, against Arsenal, Tammy Abraham ended up with that little injury, which could actually keep him out for a few weeks. We're still kind of waiting on definite news there. They apparently want to loan him and would give PSG about €6 million for the privilege, which is pretty decent given that his contract expires in the summer. But obviously there's the prospect of a much bigger payoff if they let him go permanently now. Supposedly they're angling for €27 million, which I think is mental for a guy who you're paying an absolute fortune every week and who can go on a free. I really don't understand. Also, if you went to Chelsea, I think their top earners currently on about 150k. Those are Kepa and Conte. I imagine with some top-ups, but even still, they're not getting anywhere near to 360k a week, which is Cavani's wage. So it seems like Atletico Madrid is the preferred destination. They're willing to give him a contract worth around €10 million a year, which on the face of it works out to around half of what he earns. Maybe there's going to be some creative accounting there, but to me, it feels like he wants to go to Atleti. Atleti are willing to pay more. That's probably where he's going to end up.
Yeah, I think so. I think that big asking price for Atleti from PSG is maybe just them trying to just completely put off interest and make sure that he does stay with them for the rest of the campaign.
Yeah, I'd want to keep him if I was PSG.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they need the money necessarily, but having said that, if there is some money to be made, maybe it's worth it. But Cavani's parents have actually got in on the act this week, which is quite interesting.
Normal
32 years old, but not sure if this is usual for them. Obviously, it's been a while since he actually did make another since he made his last transfer. But I digress. His father Luis spoke publicly this week, quoted by Spanish show El Chiringuito, as saying that both he and Edinson are keen on the Atleti move, but that Thomas Tuchel wants to keep him there to help with the Champions League bid. Also claims that, in his opinion, that PSG are treating him unfairly, kind of referencing the fact that he's not really picking up any minutes at the moment when he is playing. He's coming on in the last 10 minutes, playing kind of 4 to 6 minutes per appearance. Obviously, injuries have had a big effect on this as well. He sat out 10 league outings with injury this season. And that accounts for almost half of the available game time. Okay. So I think it's a little bit harsh to be saying that PSG are treating him unfairly. Obviously, considering the kind of service he's given to the club, maybe he expects a little bit more from them. But when you are coming, off the sidelines with injury, your fitness obviously isn't going to be 100% all the time. I doubt he's been 100% fit at any point this season. Nevertheless, Tuchel is clearly preferring this combination of Mbappe, Neymar, and Icardi, and Cavani, as a result, has clocked up 330 minutes, which is actually less than Eric Choupo-Moting, who's managed 452. So judging by that, you can kind of see why Cavani feels a little bit left out at the Parc des Princes. And like I said, both his parents are in on the situation. So his mum also has come out publicly, just reiterating his desire to move to Spain and saying that if it doesn't happen this month, it will almost definitely happen in the summer. Which I guess kind of makes sense, but I don't know. I feel like come the summer, Atleti there might be a few more kind of better targets out there than Cavani. Obviously, he would be available on a free, which would be pretty attractive to any club. But I don't know. For Atleti, obviously, we discussed last week that the striker position isn't necessarily what they definitely need to go for. It shouldn't really be top of their list. And I don't really know what that means for Diego Costa as well, who's obviously there on quite a lot of money as well, around the same age. Has been fairly ineffective since coming back to Spain. So yeah, I don't really know what to make of it in the long term. But what do you guys reckon? Cavani to Atletico Madrid, would it be a good move? Let us know in the comments below.
Just before we get into our next section, a quick reminder that if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure that you are. There are more great videos like this coming up each week, as well as transfer talk and, of course, our discussion shows like Continental Club. But we move on to our next transfer, and this one actually is quite exciting. Dani Olmo, long link with Barcelona, apparently to RB Leipzig, which, when you think young promising player in Europe, one of Europe's less fancied leagues, this kind of makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely the kind of profile of player that we've seen kind of RB Leipzig go for in previous transfer windows, isn't he? Obviously, yeah, he's been linked with a ton of clubs this month, notably Barcelona, like you were saying, but also AC Milan, Chelsea, Leicester, and Wolves actually have been linked with him quite a lot this week as well. But according to Sportske Novosti, which are a Croatian outlet which have been covering kind of the potential move of Olmo very extensively this month, are claiming that he is close to joining the German club for 16 million euros plus add-ons. Other reports suggesting that they've offered as much as 23 million. However, according to Damasio, AC Milan are still trying to work out a deal themselves, with Zagreb understood to want around 25 million euros. And the aforementioned Wolves apparently offering between 25 and 30 million euros, so kind of meeting that valuation and more. But apparently, the Spaniard is understood not to favour a move to England, which of course does open it up to a club like RB. If all this is true, Leipzig may need to up their offer, obviously, to secure the transfer. But with the contract up in 2021, Zagreb are apparently keen to sell him in January to make the biggest profit possible on him. So he could be at a new club by the end of the week. This is a very real possibility. And it would obviously bring an end to a 5.5-year stay in the Croatian capital for the youngster. But Pat, how do you think he would fit at Leipzig?
Well, he's pretty versatile. He's played on the left, he's played on the right, he's played at attacking mid, and obviously Nagelsmann is known to kind of mix and match his system. They've played mostly in a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-2-2, but I mean, you can see loads of spaces where Olmo might fit in there. The only thing is, I'd say that competition is really, really stiff at the moment. Sabitzer, Forsberg and Nkunku have all played in those areas, and Sabitzer and Nkunku in particular have been sensational. And while, you look at RB Leipzig, you think, wow, look at all these young players getting chances. There are lots of young players there who are not getting chances. So Tyler Adams was obviously injured, but has still barely played. Ethan Ampadu has barely played. Ademola Lookman has barely played. Marcelo Soraki has barely played. In fact, Adams, Lookman and Ampadu between them have 352 minutes, which is almost nothing. However, if he's available for this pretty reasonable price, I think it probably does make sense. He's got 7 assists and 8 goals in 22 appearances this season, and he's been good in the Champions League as well. Those are the kind of places where we can compare him with the players that Leipzig already have. So 2.2 shots a game, I think that's only bettered in the Champions League by Werner and Sabitzer this season. That's pretty good, though. His 1 key pass a game would only rank 5th in the squad. At the same time, for a 21-year-old, those are perfectly respectable numbers. Was also completing 3 dribbles a match, and while his completion rate was under 50%, that is the kind of thing that improves as you get older. You learn when to dribble and when not to, and as you bulk up a little bit, you get that strength needed to go past top-level defenders. Plus, his defensive output is great, nearly 3 tackles and interceptions per game, so you'd expect him to fit into this high-pressing system because Zagreb were a really high-pressing side as well. So I actually do think that this would make a degree of sense. The only thing is whether Leipzig can give him assurances about his playing time. But I actually find this a lot more sensible than him potentially going to Barcelona. But what do you guys think? Barcelona fans, are you upset about potentially missing out on Olmo? Let us know in the comments below.
We stick in Germany for our next rumour, but it involves a player leaving the Bundesliga. This is Jakob Brun-Larsen to Bournemouth, which has started to pick up a bit of traction this week. Obviously, Bournemouth in the market for players as they look to beat the drop this season. They did pick up their second league win since November on Tuesday evening. And it also marked the first time that they'd scored more than one goal in a victory since September. So clearly, Eddie Howe's attack, hasn't been working properly, probably for the first time really since Bournemouth were promoted to the Premier League in 2015. At least, with this kind of severity.
Yeah.
And apparently, the man who could be tasked with trying to fix this is Borussia Dortmund's Jakob Brun-Larsen. According to the Football Insider, the 21-year-old could be on his way to the Vitality in the next week, with Bournemouth in discussions with BVB over a possible short-term deal. What could present a bit of a block in the road for this is the fact that Borussia are keen on a obligation to buy clause in the deal, whereas Bournemouth, obviously with their fears of a possible relegation, don't really fancy this. They'd rather have an option to buy. Brun-Larsen is valued at around 20 million euros, and his contract at the Westfalenstadion is also up in 2021, which suggests to me, considering his lack of game time this season, that Dortmund are just keen to get rid.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, last season he got nearly 1,300 league minutes. I think he got 4 goal involvements in that time. This year, I think he's got 65 minutes in the league, which I kind of understand. They obviously upgraded a lot in attack, but it still feels pretty harsh because he was decent last season. At Bournemouth, you'd expect him to play. David Brooks is still out. Harry Wilson, I think, has been pretty good, but he's producing under 1 chance per 90, whereas Brun-Larsen has been averaging 1.4. He can play on the left, he can play on the right, he can play through the middle. These are all useful things. But it just feels like, I don't know, I guess Eddie Howe has never been good at coaching a defence. The defence has been shocking the entire time he's been in the Premier League with Bournemouth. And so I suppose in that sense it makes a certain degree of sense for him to say, you know what, I can get the attack to work and this is how we're going to do it. 0.45 expected goals and assists per 90 in the Bundesliga for Brun-Larsen at 20. That's pretty impressive, but in a much better side. And the question of whether you can get on the end of goal-scoring chances with guys like Sancho and Royce around you, and whether you can do it when you're the one also tasked with creating some of them, is a little bit worrying to me. I personally, if I were Bournemouth, would probably spend my money on defensive players, but that is just me. And I don't know. I'm fearful for Bournemouth this season.
Yeah, same here. But I think it's like you said. I think bringing an attacker in halfway through the season to try and get yourself out of the relegation zone, especially with Howe's track record, just seems like a slightly safer bet than putting your faith in a centre back who's got to adapt to the system. Yeah, I suppose. So it's, I don't know. It feels like something that they would do more so than upgrade the defence. But worrying times for Bournemouth. But who knows? Callum Wilson did get on the score sheet the other night, so might regain some form.
Whatever.
We'll see. We finish up, as always, with our fans' choice. And this week, @Rasmus Wolves has been in touch on Twitter. And he is saying Eduardo Camavinga may be moving to Dortmund. Seems like a good move. With the sale of Julian Weigl and injury to Thomas Delaney, it could be a good long-term investment. What do you make of this, Pat?
This is a rumour going round. Sport Build currently peddling this one. And you can kind of see the sense. The Rennes midfielder, Eduardo Camavinga, obviously we've been hearing a lot about him this season because he's a 17-year-old lighting up Ligue 1. Could cost the German club up to 50 million euros, though L'Equipe have previously reported that Rennes wanted as much as 100 million. But I think that was when Real Madrid, PSG, every big side were interested in him. So maybe Dortmund can get him at a discount. Delaney is now out for the rest of the season at the Westfalenstadion, so they do need some cover there. Dahoud has never really been a starter since he arrived. And while Julian Brandt can perform a bit deeper, he's at his best around the box. So I think a young, outstanding central midfielder feels very, very Dortmund.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, Delaney's not getting any younger either, as is Axel. I mean, Axel Witsel in particular, actually. He's well into his 30s now, isn't he? And yeah, obviously, he's just been outstanding, hasn't he, in Ligue 1 this term. Already clocked up over 1,500 minutes in the league. He's registered a goal and an assist from that deep kind of midfield position as well. And they also came in very big games, obviously. Famously, his assist, in that victory over PSG in August, where he really announced himself, and also grabbed the winner in a 1-0 victory over Lyon in December. But away from that, obviously his skills really lie in the kind of defensive aspects of his game. 6.6 tackles and interceptions per 90. That ranks him second of anyone in the French top flight. Also has a tackle success rate of 71%, so he's not just going in willy-nilly. He is a very smart kind of defensive midfielder in that sense. Obviously, he doesn't offer too much creatively at the moment. 0.3 key passes per 90, ranks 5th in the Rennes squad for passes into the final third, but you'd expect maybe that aspect of his game to improve over time.
Yeah.
And he obviously does have a lot of time to do so. And he's super confident on the ball. He ranks second in the squad for pass accuracy with 88%, and also completes 67% of his dribbles. So as an all-round midfield prospect, there's not really any signs that Camavinga isn't the real deal at the moment. Obviously, he is still very young. There could be a chance that this is just a kind of particularly good first season and that he might kind of level out in the next couple of years. But seems like something that Dortmund would probably do. Whether they'd be able to get a decent price for him is another matter, though.
Yeah.
Like, Rennes seem very keen on holding out for the biggest possible price, and if Real Madrid do come back in for him, that's only going to go up, right?
And also, wasn't there bad blood when Dortmund bought Ousmane Dembele from Rennes? Like, wasn't there was something there where there was some shady stuff going on with agents and things? So it also wouldn't surprise me if Rennes were like, absolutely not. We can just get more money from a super club. So, no, bye.
Yeah, I think that's, that would make sense, wouldn't
But
it?
he's got to move on this summer.
Do you think?
Well, he doesn't have to, but I would like to see him go to, why not? Like, he looks like he's ready for it. Just go to a big club. Let's see how it goes. Go to Arsenal.
Yeah, I think that's it for Transfer Review this week.
I actually hope that all of these happen. Which one would you like to happen the most if you could make one of these occur?
I've forgotten which ones are going
Danny
on.
Olmo to Leipzig, Cavani to Atleti, Brun Larsen to Bournemouth.
I'd like to say Danny Olmo to Leipzig, but I just don't see him getting as many minutes as we'd like at Dortmund. At Leipzig. So I'd say Camavinga would, weirdly enough, would actually get probably more minutes at Dortmund at this stage of the season, at least, just because they need more cover in that midfield position, don't they? So yeah, Camavinga would be exciting at Dortmund for sure. I'm gonna go with that. So yeah, nice one, Rasmus Wolves, for bringing that up. Where should they go next, Pat?
Stay right here and check out our previous shows if you want to know about some of the rumours that are still buzzing around as we go into the final week of the transfer window. Check out Continental Club as well, where we take a look at your questions. And subscribe to the podcast if you're not subscribed to it already, where, again, it's transfer special right now, but we also do news roundups. We also do deep dives into fixing clubs. So subscribe to that and drop us a like as well. We'd really appreciate it.
See ya.
Bye.